Hello everyone, I'm Drachona. I've just been thinking recently about the whole Anita Sarkeesian VidCon thing, and I have a proposition. Maybe you should call it a suggestion. I think that next year, if we all get together at VidCon again, and if Anita Sarkeesian is welcome back, which she most likely, if she has anything to say, she would be welcome back. If she has a panel, if she has any panels, I would highly recommend that we not attend them. Now, if somebody else shows up, like the second panel, Boogie 2988 was there, and if you want to go see that, by all means, go see that. I'm not telling you not to go see someone that you want to see. But just a recommendation, I really think that we should not show up to a panel just to see Anita Sarkeesian. Now, the first time when this happened, I understood. All of us wanted to hear her out. We just wanted to hear what she had to say and be respectful. We had no intention of intimidating her or of causing any problems. That was the goal of people like Sargon, Chris Reagan, the Warskis. Everybody in those first three rows. And that was my goal too. I didn't even know that they were going to be there. But that was my goal as well. I wanted to hear her out. I just wanted to see her in person and see if the things that she said in person were the same as the things that she said online. So we didn't know what was going to happen. And I know that I've somewhat benefited off of this bullshit. A lot of people have benefited off of talking this shit. And even though it was a negative thing, I believe it could still be somewhat of a positive because I hope, I do actually believe that some people will see through her bullshit because of the things that she said. Because regardless of whether or not you like Sargon of Akkad, if you think that he is truly a horrible person, Anita Sarkeesian, as a panelist representing VidCon, called an attendee a shithead and a garbage human at a convention where there are a shit ton of like preteens, a bunch of kids that are less than 18, a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of kids. So you're saying things like shithead potentially in front of a bunch of teenagers. And that's unacceptable. It already broke the terms and conditions of VidCon, but that's even worse. So yeah, she fucked up, and we know that. And we had no idea that that was going to happen. None of us knew what was going to happen. Maybe some could have predicted it, but we had no idea. But it's done, it's over with. I just want to throw out the suggestion that if we all go back to VidCon, which I'm planning on it, and if she shows up, if she has a panel, and it's the only reason why we would go to that panel is to listen to her, that we should not go. That is my recommendation. No one has to listen to it, and honestly, I don't... My channel is so small that people like Sargon, people like Chris Reagan, people like Vernaculus, Jeff Holiday, some black guy, none of them are going to hear this, but I just kind of hope that this gets around. It's just my suggestion. Because, in my opinion, she has every right to be there. There should have been some repercussions for the things that she said, but I'm not surprised that nothing really happened. But if she comes back, in my opinion, we should just try to ignore her. And it's difficult. You can't just ignore someone who says inflammatory things. You can't just pretend that they don't exist. It's difficult. When you're dealing with a bully, one of the best things that you can do is ignore them. But this is a difficult situation because, like with a real bully, and I think I've said this before on a different topic. I know I've said this before. But like with a real bully, if you ignore them, if you can withstand what they do to you, they may go and do something to somebody else. And that's better for you. But in this situation, it doesn't solve the problem. It really doesn't solve the actual problem at hand. So ignoring her may not be the best thing, but in this particular case, so that something bad doesn't happen again, if it would, I don't know, so that she doesn't gain more relevance, because I think that's the most important thing. She was pretty irrelevant before VidCon. There were still people who talked about her, but she's been a dead topic for a long time because she just keeps saying the same shit over and over and over again. So in my opinion, somebody commented on my video saying that she's gained popularity for this. You know, that she could potentially make bank off of this. I don't know if that's true, but it is certainly a possibility. It's what's happened before. So I agree that this is kind of, it's not really a loss, but she's gained relevance because of this. So next year, I just think, depending upon the circumstances, like I said, maybe there will be somebody else there who we want to see, and we can just go there for that person, or multiple people. I doubt that, but it's a possibility. But I just think, like I said, initially the intentions were good, just to listen to her, to hear her out, and to be kind. That was the original goal, not to cause any problems, but she threw the first stone, and in my opinion, that would not work a second time. The idea of let's just go to her panel and let's just hear her out, let's just listen to her speak and be kind, we already know that that's not going to work if we try that again. She is not willing to let that work. Because no matter what, even though she is supposed to be in a professional position, she still resorted to middle school tactics of attacking somebody in the audience that she just didn't like. She felt supposedly intimidated, like a freaking child. It really reflects on her insecurity. So I don't really think that we could argue for that again. That we could just say, well, we'll just sit in on it. You know, we'll just hear her out. It's clear she doesn't want us to be there. And I'm not saying that we should satisfy her by not being there, that we should do what she wants. I'm just saying that it may be best to not show up. If she's the only reason why we should go there, maybe we should just hang out somewhere else. I don't really think that it would be worth our time, because it could potentially make things worse. I mean, the last thing that we would want is to get thrown out of VidCon just because freaking Hank and John somehow spin it and turn it on us. That's the last thing that we want. Honestly, even though she's just going to keep saying the same bullshit over and over and over again, she would do that anyway. Honestly, I think it's best that we just kind of try to leave her alone, try to ignore her, and let her fade into insignificance. She may try some new tactics to remain relevant, but we should not help her. We couldn't control this. There was no way we could have predicted this. I'm not blaming anyone for making videos about this. I'm not blaming anyone for completely blowing it out of proportion, because it was a really stupid event. And she threw the first stone. She started it. So it's not our fault. It's her fault. But sadly, she has gained some relevance again because of this stupid shit. So I just think next year we should try, just consider it. If she has a panel, and if there's no one else there that we want to see, or if it's not a topic that we really want to listen to, we should just not go. Because I really don't see what could be gained. We know she's just going to say the same things over again, and we know now that she'll probably be intimidated. Even it doesn't matter if we're in the first row, first 3 rows, it doesn't matter. If we're there at all and she sees us, she'll be intimidated again. And I just don't think that it's worth it. I guess we should ask ourselves, what could we possibly gain by going to another panel compared to what might we lose? What might occur? If we can spare something negative happening, if we can prevent that from happening, then we should. We should spend our time elsewhere trying to make positive memories. I mean, I know, we laughed about the whole garbage human thing afterwards, but I really don't think that it's worth it. She's not worth it. she is not worth our time because we know she's just going to be the same person. We gave her an opportunity, and that's great. I'm glad that I did that. I'm sure others are too. But I just think that she's going to be the same. So if she shows up next year, then we shouldn't waste our time. We shouldn't take the risk, and we shouldn't waste our time. But yeah, that's just my thought, my suggestion for next year. Because even though my video about the question that I asked her exploded, so I mean it actually got more views than most of my videos, I really don't want to talk about her. I don't like talking about her because she has some amount of power. She has more power than I do, that's for sure. More power than a lot of us do. And I really don't want to fuel her fire. Even though I know that if I talked about her, I would probably gain more subscribers, I'd probably gain more views, I don't want to do that. I don't want to gain subscribers and views that way. I'd rather do it by making my own content, which I try to just make a whole bunch of silly shit that hopefully people will laugh at. Apparently some people do. I'd like to be more relevant, I'd like to be more popular, but I'm not going to try and take some underhanded tactic by beating a zombie horse. It's not even dead anymore. It's a freaking zombie horse. So anyway, I've ranted about this long enough. Those are my thoughts on next year's VidCon. I really think that we should just focus more on having fun because it's an expensive convention. We should just focus more on having fun. Obviously, you know, like I said, we couldn't have predicted what happened, but now we can learn. And we can expect what might happen next year. I mean, there are certain things like, like the panel with Cenk and Francesca, the couple of the panels with Cat Black. Nothing bad happened, So it's not that we can't attend those panels. I just think that it's clear that Anita Sarkeesian is a child. She is dangerously insecure. She probably shouldn't be out in public. Because of her emotional insecurity, and I really don't think that it's worth our time or worth the risk to quote-unquote intimidate her with our mere presence. Somebody who is that unstable, even if they're just faking it, doesn't really matter. The end result is the same. We just shouldn't mess with that. We should try to ignore her as much as possible. If she says some new thing that someone somewhere thinks is worth arguing against, feel free. If she said something that I thought was worth arguing against, I would do it. But right now, she's just saying the same shit, so I'm not going to bother with that. So yeah. I could probably sit here and keep going for another 5 or 10 minutes, as I have a great tendency to do, but I'm not going to do that. I will spare you guys. I just think maybe we should contemplate what we would do next year if we all showed up and she was there. For now, I'm Drachona, and I will see you guys next time.